Dubbing her the mother of Ethiopian classical music, as grand as that epithet sounds, might still be doing Emahoy Tsege Mariam Gabu and her haunting, ephemeral, astakaj or sentimental compositions a disservice. She was born Yogdar Gabru in 1923, and by the age of 6, she went to Switzerland to study music. Though such prestigious educational journeys were not common among the Ethiopian public in the early 20th century, Emahoy Tsege's family was of the aristocratic stock and could afford to do just that. To be sure, her father was Kantiba Gabu Desta, who was mayor of Gondar. Though Emahoy Tsege demonstrated musical precociousness as a child, as an adult she felt that her calling was in the service of her people, her country, and of course, God, specifically through the Orthodox Church. She joined the convent in 1944, but never quite gave up music, and for that the people of Ethiopia and musicians the world over are eternally grateful. Within the church, she earned her Emahoy title and continued with music through both the piano and the violin, and even performed for Emperor Haile Selassie on occasion. Like genres and cultural productions that have the West at a loss, Emahoy Tsege Mariam's compositions defy categorization. It has been described as a meld of European classical music, but with the Ethiopian pentatonic scale, not quite jazz, nor was it ragtime. Her compositions broke with traditional musical conventions with no set tempo in any given song, slowing down or speeding up as the song sort of called for it, which was really a marker of her unearthly talent. She could go from 4/4 to 8/7 type signatures, and layman would be none the wiser. I wasn't none the wiser. The fluidity of her fingers over the piano makes the sound that she emits as natural as that of music that does follow traditional conventions. And not only was Emahoy a musical outlier in the sphere of classical music, but she was also distinct from the pioneers of Ethio jazz, the musical genre that took over the world by storm in the mid-century. So her Souvenirs album, which was recorded in the late 70s and mid-80s and was actually reissued this year, 2024, contains some of her most poignant and patriotic songs. In this album, Emahoy not only graces us with her quick-fingered, tempo-defying piano, but her pleading and ethereal voice as well. Much like the ambiance of a turntable, when playing the first track, one hears the humming background before hearing her voice in the first track, Clouds Moving on the Sky. Though this can be because of the rudimentary recording equipment, it feels like one is sort of in the room with her, especially when you have your headphones in. So here in exile, she longs for home. She sings, and her third track, Is It Sunny or Cloudy in the Land You Live, continues this theme, celebrating Ethiopia and the Blue Nile or Abay. She says, no stranger to war or political strife, Emahoy Tsege Mariam lived through some of the most turbulent periods in Ethiopian history. She lived through both peaceful and repressive eras of Haile Selassie's reign and the 1974 revolution that established another repressive government of the Marxist-Leninist persuasion with Mengistu Haile Mariam and his Derg regime, not to mention the chronic famines the Ethiopian peasantry was systematically subjected to. These moments, no doubt, permeated the music she composed and the lyrics she wrote. Though her music was not explicitly political for one side or another, her love of country and fellow countrymen and women clearly sort of shines through, specifically in this album, Souvenirs. In the song Ethiopia, My Motherland, she starts, and she greets civil servants, teachers, soldiers, and recognizes them for their service to country. She bids those who love their country for education not to forget their home. In many ways, this becomes a timeless call to all Ethiopians now living overseas for valid and various reasons to do whatever in their power to be of service, much like my own grandfather, who actually coined the term Ethiopia. His name was Kabada Anisa, and he actually just passed away a few years ago, and he, made a call a few years before his passing on an article that he got interviewed for, saying that writers must be committed to the development and unity of their country, Ethiopia, right? So it's the same theme of service. Emahoy's discography, particularly Souvenirs, brings salient questions to the fore to Ethiopians today. What does love of country look like when countrymen slaughter each other with reckless disregard for the sanctity of life? What does service mean when medical personnel feel they'll make more of a difference behind the barrel of a gun rather than with a stethoscope? It's hard to declare one love of country in one breath and shut one's eye, or hold straight ahead even, to the horrors committed with the other. It's hard to say, despite and because of our differences, we are all Ethiopians, when every day that title and the rights that should come with it becomes more and more elusive if ever they were there to begin with. I'm sorry, it sounds so dark. But maybe because it is hard to say that we are all one despite our differences, it is precisely why we need to not only sincerely proclaim it, but practice it as well. We, like Emahoy, Tsege, Mariam, are living through another moment in Ethiopian history where it feels like all is lost, like we are all losing sight of what it means to be neighbors or to care for our fellow countrymen or women. But Emahoy's Ethiopia is our Ethiopia, and if we care to embody the image she gave us, we should be radically loving our people, serving our people, and challenging every iteration of repressive governments that make suffering a quotidian of Ethiopian life. I'm sure the 1960 failed coup, the ensuing radical Ethiopian student movement, and pending 1974 revolution were moments of rupture that posed such existentialist questions to Ethiopians then, and just like today's violence poses the same questions to us today, both at home and abroad. Like Mariam points out in his brilliant work, Ghanaian Hermeneutics and Ethiopian Critical Theory, the liberation of both the individual and the collective kind, Aranet, comes partly with the practice of Meddemamet, right? Not just hearing, but earnestly listening to one another and practicing unity in every pocket of our communities. For that is where Ethiopia is, in the way we treat and speak to each other every day. For if that remains, then the dream and ensuing reality of a truly united Ethiopia truly lives, the kind that speaks to power Emahoy Tsege's promise.